Here we are. Hi, everybody. Erica here from In the Company of Cards with our good friend Lena down under. Hi, Lena.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thanks for calling in.
Yes, yes. Hope everybody enjoyed the week off. I hope you missed us a lot.
Yeah.
Last week.
Just a little bit.
Just yeah. So I was on where was I? On the East Coast visiting family, and I'm back on the West Coast. Got off the plane this morning, and so here we are. I was telling Lena that I didn't keep as close touch of what was going on in the world as I normally do, but I think I know enough to so that we can have a conversation. So how has your 2 week period been? Anything going on we should know about on your end?
Well, it's really crazy. In Australia, we are having a lot of the same issues, and one of our states has declared a moratorium on data centers, which is a good
Good.
thing. So we're all watching that state. So they're saying no more for a year. We're going to investigate how it
Excellent.
affects everybody. So it's good to see someone stand up.
Exactly. Well, absolutely, because we don't see enough of that. Speaking of people not standing up, let's
Mhm.
get to it, shall we? So, somebody who did not stand up, but instead, hi, everybody, thank you for your kind words. Someone who did not stand up, but instead, as far as I understand, crouched inside a catering truck was you know who. I'm not going to say the person's name because I think we get dinged nowadays
Yeah.
for referring too often to certain people, but you all know who I'm talking about. The one that we have the champagne on ice for. But anyway, and that he took with him the human printer, Natalie Harp, and I think Scavino and someone else. People were making note of the fact that, what's his name? What was that Nazi looking
Stephen Miller got
Stephen
left
Miller was
behind.
not, yeah, he was not included. But here's the point. Well, there's several points. One point is the fact that uh, the press was under the impression that he was on Air Force One with the rest of them. Of course, he did not make an appearance because he was not on Air Force One. He was hiding in the catering truck. Why? Because of this assassination attempt rumor, which apparently, by the way, the authorities have said, whether it's FBI, CIA, whoever it was, said there was no credible threat. Now, I love that there was no credible threat. I mean, for so many reasons. I mean, one does not wish that on anyone,
Yeah.
but also because you're such a coward. It wasn't even a credible threat. And you ran to get in the truck where the food was and Natalie. Now, but the point is, he didn't know it was not a credible threat. He thought it was. And he knew that in picking the people for his arc, so the felon's arc, he picks these three people and left all those journalists on Air Force One. What I want to know is, are these journalists going to have a moment, an enlightened moment where they say, wait a minute,
All right, so all that's left,
yeah,
these are the tame journalists who have been allowed to stay in the press pool. So they can't be happy.
exactly.
I wouldn't be happy,
Exactly.
if I was left in the alleged
I mean, they could have,
firing line of something
yeah, the line
and
of
the boss
something.
left.
Like that. I like that. The line of something. Yeah, and he. I mean, isn't the captain supposed to stay with the ship? Just
Yeah,
saying.
look, exactly. And you see the boss bail and you're left there not knowing what's happening.
My hope is that the next time that there's an opportunity, when he says something ugly about one of them, that they say, "Well, you know what? You're ugly too." Like, somebody needs to step to him.
Look, will someone please press back? It's shocking for the rest of the world to watch this capitulation of
Yeah,
the media en
yeah,
masse in America. Now, some chose to sell their souls to the devil early on, not a problem. The Peter
good for you.
Deuces and stuff,
Yeah,
they came through that dynastic right-wing nonsense. And the good ones were, of course, banished.
Mm-hmm.
The women mocked and derided and so forth. But where was I going with that? Oh, the point being, I think by standing up, now is the time,
Now, right.
and people will get their reward for standing up.
Yes.
Before, in a journo's brain, they'd go, look, I don't like him, but I'm keeping my spot in the
Right.
pool, so I have access
Right.
to you
Right.
know who. But those days have gone.
He was willing to make their families widows and orphans, or
Yeah,
widowers and orphans.
wouldn't have given it a thought.
No. But here's what he did give a thought to. His glowing, flowing, Aaron, the hairstylist, will appreciate this, new coiffure. He's got that thing on top of his head. I don't know what that is, but
Yeah, but it's bad.
Yeah.
And also, I think what we're seeing, the language has changed now about describing the man.
Yes.
Just in the last 2 days, I mean, this admittedly is from the centre or the left, not the conventional mainstream, but they're using words like decaying, rotting. These are not words just because someone's your political enemy. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
I think the language has almost subconsciously shifted.
Yes. And
to one of decay.
This is what we want to watch for and listen for. I think it's great. I've seen some conservative outlets be more vocal against him, particularly because of the jobs report. Apparently we shed, I don't even know how many, a ton of jobs, and it was a real shock. Well, I don't know who it was. It wasn't a shock.
I don't know who would be shocked, but Australia, it's a similar thing because we have a system of counting employment, and it's like the US system. Everyone knows the real figures are infinitely higher than even the bad figures we've been given. So people are freaking out over these bad figures, the lack of job creation. However, the real figures are so much worse because if you're not applying for benefits, you don't get counted. If you work 4 hours or 6 hours a week, you're counted as employed. Right. So this is a problem with the actual methodologies of calculating jobs.
Right.
And that's the same here as there.
Same here. And
it's a fake number.
Yeah, people are paying. Wait, before we get off this thing about the food truck, the catering truck. So I don't know if you heard that Carolyn Levitt is leaving at the end of the month. Of course, the reason is what it always is, for my family. She just had that baby. She all of a sudden realized.
Someone sent her an email and reminded her she had 2 babies. She did. Awesome.
But you know what?
I've gotten out.
I'm wondering. I mean, it seemed like it was a sudden announcement. I'm wondering whether the catering fiasco has anything to do with her leaving, because she gets up there. I don't watch her very much, but she gets up there and she's very unpleasant and she lies incessantly. And I suspect she would be raked over the coals by a press corps whose lives were put in danger by a coward. And then she's trying to defend him. And I guess she just figured, no mas, I'm done. It's over. That's it.
Yeah. There's also, though, on a personal vibe, I think what might have happened, because she had X weeks off to have the baby, she stepped out of the cult to some extent. Imagine the intensity of the day-to-day White House stuff, regardless of what we think she did with it and how awful she was.
Yeah.
It's still all consuming, and you step away, and sometimes that's when you go, do I really want to step back in?
I mean, you're giving her a lot of credit. You're giving her a lot of credit. That's why you're the good cop and I'm the bad cop.
Right.
All right. Speaking of credit, I think that somebody's giving the McConnell camp way too much credit. The McConnell aides and McConnell himself continue to rack up their salaries. McConnell has sick leave, unlike any kind of sick leave.
If any of us just didn't turn up at work for
Yeah,
2
just
months.
don't show up. I mean, it's one thing to have
And
something
no
wrong.
communication.
Yeah, no, that's the point. No communication. And when these people are hunted down, these aides and stuff, they laugh in the journalist's face like it's funny. And I hope people realize, if you're from Kentucky, they're not laughing at the journalists. They're laughing at Kentuckians.
Mm.
So apparently there are home health aides that have been in and out. I mean, whatever he had wrong with him, okay, he's recuperating. But the fact that there continues to be radio silence is what my mother would have called contempt and disrespect for his constituency and for the U.S. Senate. So
yes, and with those home help aides, I mean, what are they actually doing? Maybe they're just going in and getting paid to watch The Bold and the Beautiful for 2 hours and leave to keep the illusion. You can't trust anything.
That's right. That's right. I mean, exactly.
I'm not convinced, because I see these people go in that's what's happening.
That's right. That's right. No, I mean, well, you know what? In the fullness of time, as my mother would say, we will learn all. And the fullness of time, I suspect, will be September, which is a month away.
Yes, but it's disappointing Andy Bashir hasn't gone for it.
You know
he wrote a letter and said he really means it now. He's really cross. You better do something, and nothing.
No. You know what? I used to say that, and I'm not saying that anymore, because I mean, I did rake him over the coals and say, "What are you doing? Call an election." Now, his point is, you know what? You want to keep that seat vacant? You want to have there no vote from Kentucky? I'm a Kentuckian, that's true. But if we had the vote in the Senate, it would be a Republican vote, which advantages not our side. So that's fine. Let it stay vacant. So I think that is his game plan, to just let it be vacant. There's certain things that can't happen because McConnell is not there to vote and nobody else.
Can they vote by proxy? Like, could someone else press the button? They have to turn up, don't they?
Yeah, they have to turn up. Speaking of that, the Senate, just a word on Darlene.
Yes.
So Darlene ended up having to go do a runoff. She did not win out of hand the primary. So she has a challenger. I will say that, I understand Andy Bashir's position too. I think he probably did the right thing and had to endure the slings and arrows of all of us who said, what are you doing? But I think it was strategically smart. But anyway, Darlene. So Darlene has to do a runoff because there is another Republican challenger before we get to the November election. There is talk that she is not as Republican as her dear departed brother was, that her politics were not his politics. So that's interesting.
Yes. And I think we can't get too excited in the sense that I think she would have departed over a few issues. It seems like she does care about women's reproductive rights, for example, which is a big thing. But if she got the gig, she would probably toe the party line because they all do. I don't know.
I don't know. We'll see. Well, we'll see. I mean, if she gets in, we'll see.
She couldn't be worse than her brother, could she?
Well, it depends who the puppet masters are. Do you know what I mean? And how strong the strings are that they use to pull her. I mean, I would love it if she just nodded and smiled and said, "Yes, sir," and then went in there and did her own thing. I would love that.
It would be hilarious.
It would be terrific. I mean, that would be great. All right. So a couple more things. A couple more things. So Todd Blanche, speaking of, is due in court tomorrow. This is in reference to Katie Fang's lawsuit against him for not giving us the documents that we were told by Congress were by law ours to see. So Katie Fang, as most of you know, she's an independent journalist. She sued. And anybody can't just sue anybody in this kind of situation. You have to show cause. And the cause that she showed, the judge agreed, is that she is a working journalist and was being deprived of materials that she needed in order to keep the public informed. So she was found to have standing. So that's great. There were deadlines that have passed that Blanche, I remember, I think right before I left for the East Coast, had met within half an hour to spare. He responded, but the Judge Sullivan, Emmett Sullivan?
Emmett Sullivan.
Yeah, is not impressed, not pleased, and has hauled him into court. This will be tomorrow. And apparently there's an audio feed. So we can, so we can listen live to that audio. I think that Judge Sullivan is going to rake him over the coals. I'm going to pray tonight under the new moon, under the eclipse, that he's held in contempt. I think that would be lovely.
But the contempt laws need more teeth.
Well,
this is the other thing. Symbolically, it'd be bad, but these people are embarrass-proof and shame-proof and everything.
What Fang wants is $1,000 a day fine.
Yeah, but these are rich people.
No, I know.
I know. So symbolically, yes, but will it cut them or affect them? No. So there has to be another form of recognition and pushback to this complete spitting in the face of all the levels of courts.
All the levels of courts and of journalism. I mean, journalism is called
defensive journalists.
We call journalism here the fourth estate.
Yeah, no, that's a global phenomenon. Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, journalism is one of the good journalism is one of the pillars that holds up democracy. So, this is a show that I think will be worth watching, and I'm really looking forward to it. Oh, two more things that I really wanted to talk about, and then we'll look at the feed. So if you guys have questions, not ones that we use our cards for, but ones that you'd like to hear us talk about with you, put them in the feed. But so there's two more things. One is a little bit, what did I say? What did I call it, Lena? It's a little bit...
Is this the astrology?
Yeah. So I don't know how many of you are into astrology. I mean, I'm kind of into it, but I would not call myself an astrologer. I am very quick to say I am not an astrologer, although I have added on my channel every month a Lenormand tarot scope for sign, and it's really fun. People seem to like it and say that it resonates. That's not me doing that. That's spirit doing that, because like I said, I am no astrologer, but I've always been interested in it. And so I don't know how many of you are aware. There was it's still going on. We're still in the midst of it. There is a venerable old 77 astrologer, American, by the name of Stephen Forrest. He is he's considered the father of, I don't know, some kind of astrology, but there's a name for it. But he's been revered. And he was on a podcast with a student / colleague. This is a Black guy who was a former Heisman Trophy winner, which is the big kahuna of football.
Okay.
And so he went from his football career to becoming an astrologer, and he's written books, and they work together a lot. And they were discussing shadow work. Okay. And shadow work essentially is where you look at the things in your life that you really would rather not look at. And you just shine a light on those things. And we all have those things, whether we're jealous or mean-spirited or whatever it is. The things about ourselves that we don't necessarily admire.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're talking about shadow work, and what came up was the whole topic of race. I haven't called it shadow work. I just say it's the great American sin, the great American wound that's never been addressed.
Yeah, the original sin.
Yeah, the original sin. That's how I look at it. But they were talking about it in terms of shadow work. And Stephen Forrest, this venerable figure in astrology, decides that he's not just going to say the N word, he's going to just put his whole chest in it and say the word. Hard N, hard G, hard R. He said the word. And you could tell he was doing it for the shock value of it.
Oh.
Well, you can't be doing that. So it created this whole brouhaha. But what was particularly interesting in this astrology world is not that so much people were saying, oh, that's not very love and light, Stephen. That's not very metaphysically appropriate in terms of, no, it was the number of astrologers who defended him. So I discovered in this process that there are different schools of astrology, but not just different schools of, there's Vedic and there's this and there's that. But I don't mean that. There are tons of young Black astrologers doing really interesting, innovative work. And Pluto and Aquarius, the old will pass away, the new will rise up. If people are interested, I can, maybe I'll do it in my Substack. I can give some references to some of these people whom you can find on Threads and Instagram who are doing terrific work. But it's also been very gratifying to see the white astrologers who've come out on what I consider to be the right side of this. In case you don't know, the right side is you don't use that word, not even in jest, and not say then as your apology or your explanation, well, I mean, I was having a conversation with my Black colleague. Look, I have a Black friend. No. He's a student of this guy, Stephen Forrest. So there's a power dynamic.
Yes.
And he felt he couldn't, check him and say, excuse me, what'd you say? So if you're interested.
This speaks to a bigger issue, Erica, that I think we became more aware of during COVID, and then the reaction, the anti-vax reaction.
Yes.
So a lot of the alternative world, I'm collectivizing here, so who you made certain assumptions about that they would do this always or they wouldn't do that, got blown out of the water because it became a perverted alliance. So they may be anti-vax for their own reasons, but then they ally themselves with the far right in doing that.
That's
so
right.
Suddenly you had these hippies in Australia becoming far right advocates.
Yes, it's really it's very confusing, right? It's very charged
because you sort of make the assumptions that they wouldn't be this or wouldn't be that, and and that's become strengthened. So in Australia, we've got the sovereign citizen movement, or SovCits as we call them, because Australians always shorten things. The SovCits, and so they are anti-vax and all that and pro-gun and, just think the worst of the redneck states, but also that laws don't apply to them. That was the point I was
So they're a little anarchisty.
Yeah, but not in an interesting way.
Yeah, no, right.
So, and they're really tedious. And there was a great clip because there was one woman driving and she got pulled over by the police. And she said, "You can't arrest me. I'm just traveling." And the Aussie cop goes, "Well, you can travel with me back to the jail because, you're arguing with me here. It would have just been a fine and you're refusing to get out of your car and you're refusing everything. So let's travel a bit further." But my point being, you think astrology is a safe space. It should be a safe space for women and people of colour, etc., etc. But they've got the same old dinosaurs ruling these spaces as other spaces.
Yes, I mean, using the N-word was bad enough, but other things, he said, I wasn't until my 30s that I realized that blacks were not inherently less intelligent than whites. In your 30s, you realized this?
In your 30s, like 40 years ago, he woke up to that.
Right. I mean, he has said a lot of things, and I know astrologers who are women and people who are black astrologers who have said they have felt demeaned and dismissed by him. So, to the credit of the professional associations that he's been a part of and head of and all of that, they have all distanced themselves from him, removed
that's a good result.
Speaker from conferences and things like that, which of course it has created even more furor, because that, whatever they are, those closet Trumpers that are love and light are furious. But this is I just want to say, as a caveat to our audience, when you go to somebody with your personal business, like to read cards or to use their hands on your body as in massage or Reiki or anything like that, you might want to know what their politics is. I'm just saying, maybe that's wrong, but I don't know.
Exactly, because
energy,
part of this too, of this alliance with racism and this right-wing stuff, it's also anti-immigrant. So it all gets put into this basket.
Yes.
And I remember being shocked early on. She's a Vedic astrologer, Joni Patri. Do you know her from Texas?
No.
Lots of blonde hair and so. A good astrologer, but it became apparent after watching a few of hers, and if anyone knows any different, please let me know. But she was subtly saying very positive things about he who shall not be named. She stopped saying it because he's become so appalling, but in his first term. And it was only if you sort of had an ear out that you would even pick it up, because she wasn't saying things explicitly, but it was the joy with which an assassination attempt wouldn't take out our president and things like that, that you...
Well, you know, it's funny you say that, because what I have had to cut a cord with someone who is a friend of mine for over a decade. This is somebody who I owe a debt of gratitude to. I think we all do, if you like the work that I do, because I used to think I was camera shy. and so people would say, oh, you should do YouTube. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm camera. And then I met this person, an astrologer, very big, very, very big on YouTube. And she was holding a class, and it was sort of to make you camera ready. And I said I would take it, and then I backed out. Then I said I would take it. Well, so she said, you need to take this class. And she said, listen, I'll give it to you for half price. I'm like, no, it's not the money. I'm camera shy. She goes, you know what? I don't know what it is, but I feel called to tell you, you need to take this class. I'll give it to you free. So she gives it to me free. We get an assignment, and we have to do a video, like little clip thing. Well, I put it off. Now, I had to turn the assignment in, so I said, oh God, okay. So I do it. And I realized, wait a minute. When you do these things, you're looking at yourself. I love myself. I know how to amuse myself. I think I can be amusing. I have a nice smile.
You have a good brain.
So I realized, wait, this isn't that bad. I'll make a joke, and look, I'll think it's funny, and I'll laugh. And so I realized, oh, wait a minute, I actually like being on camera. It's fun. So I have her a lot to thank her for. So then I decided to do a YouTube channel. And I said, I have two reasons. I want to show people how Lenormand works, and I also want to help people through this political season that we're going through. And they said, oh no, here's some advice of what you should do. And they send me all of these videos of people who are doing like gossip on the royal family or gossip on how. And I thought, wait, what? Why would I? So I said, no, you've taken me so far and I'm so appreciative. And I've had this person read for me many times. Her readings have always been accurate as an astrologer. Really liked this person. But then I realized, oh, wait, they would talk about period, just like what you said, occasionally say things like Trump derangement syndrome. Only Trumpers use that.
Yes.
Only Trumpers use that term. Trump derangement, to make fun of those of us who think that Trump is deranged, but they call us deranged. And just in this whole controversy with Stephen Forrest, I hadn't heard them say anything in terms of like an actual broadcast about it or anything, but somebody made a comment and then in support of him, and she just put like a 2-word thing that also showed her support. And I said, I can't stay.
I can't go there again. Yeah.
Nor can I wanted to say, I'm not the kind of person, I don't like to ghost people. I'm not a good ghoster. But I wanted to say, listen, it's been great, but reason and season, and we're on two sides of a different coin. We're not even on the same coin. So thank you, bless you, and go. But I said, you know what? I can't even bring myself to do that. I'm just gonna cut the cord, block, remove, unfriend, because by now, if you're still spouting,
if you're still there now,
yes,
exactly.
It's very sad. But if you all are at all interested in astrology, it's over on Facebook, the whole thing, and it is like watching a telenovela or soap opera. Although it is also very, I have to say, as a Black person, really hurtful. It's really hurtful. But I've seen so many people step up and be supportive of Black astrologers. And
that's the upside. And probably many people being aware that there's so many more Black astrologers out there than they were aware of.
I had no idea. Somebody put a list and I'm like, follow, because I'm very curious to hear their approach. Just like for me with Lenormand, Lenormand is a European thing. I mean, and I think that the reason that I was so successful is that I put an American spin on it and showed what it was capable of, that I think that the Europeans hadn't even realized before, So Pluto in Aquarius, I may be old, but I like to think of myself as a new thinker in new ways, right? Like you. Yes. And but anyway, if you want the drama, go over there because it's over there. And number one, and number two, just watch into whose hands you put your life and your secrets and your concerns and your worries.
Yes, particularly for personal readings.
Yes.
Very important, because there's a power, talking of power dynamics, there's a power thing going on, reader and person being read, and it drives me insane generally how little emphasis there is on the ethics of being a reader.
Right.
I think you've got a huge ethical responsibility in that time of half an hour, hour and a half, whatever it is, because people have paid for your service, they're listening intently. So you could be careless or to say so, or to bring your own biases to the table, either way. I think there needs to be more conversation about the ethics of this stuff.
Well, that's true. Now, I know some people will say, well, that's why I offer a certification course, which really, that it means nothing to be certified. For example, to be a card reader, you don't need to be certified.
No.
But you do need to have, as you say, some sort of ethical construct from which you do this work, and also some compassion for people.
Compassion is so important. It's also that thing, not so much in our community, but the whole world of readers. People will say things like, oh, if someone comes to me, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm just going to tell them what it is. And this and that and the other. Now, that might sound transparent
No, it's
and good, but
abusive.
you don't know. You've delivered this information. You don't know how they're going to process it or not process it after you finish. So your job primarily is to leave people in a better state than when they arrived, and be
Absolutely.
able to suss
Absolutely.
out their vulnerabilities in that way. And that's why I think it's not healthy to be too prescriptive. This
Right.
is going to happen and this
That's
will
right.
not happen. It takes away people's agencies.
Exactly. I mean, really, you're just showing them a trajectory. And I always say, why would you go to a reader? To see what the trajectory is. And if you like that trajectory, then keep it up. If you don't, there are things that you can do to put yourself on a different trajectory.
Exactly. That should be your primary guideline for the conversation. Exactly that. Take what resonates, as they say, but even more than that, sometimes don't say it, because once it's out there,
Exactly. And also it's good to help people know what kinds of questions are good to ask. Like I sometimes I'll go on and I'll do free readings because whatever. And somebody I had one a couple of weeks ago and I was like, whoa. They said, am I going to be a widow anytime soon? In other words, like the question was uttered with bated breath. And I'm like, what kind of question is that? What kind of questions? I mean, and this is me being a teacher for 30 years. I mean, there are ways of asking questions that will help the universe give you the answer that you want.
Yes.
But
that isn't one of them.
That's not one of them. That's what I said. I said, I'm going to teach you that, but I'm also going to say, I'm not answering that question. So yeah, next.
Right. And I have, when people come to me for readings, I send them notes, what to expect and stuff. And there's 3 things I won't read on. Seeing we're here now, I'll just quickly recap them for a reason. I don't read on children because until the age of 20, actually, because they're entitled to evolve as they want to evolve. So even though people might be well-intentioned, don't read on children. I don't read on serious health issues.
Right, because you're not a doctor.
What's the result of my MRI going to be? No. Right. So I talk to them about that and say, I'll talk happily about your well-being.
Right.
But no, you might need a stent in your heart at 2 a.m, and some tarot readers in Australia is going, you're fine. No, you're not medical. And the third thing I won't read on is death timelines for family members, especially aging parents. And people, again, often want to know, they go, oh, I just want to know how long they've got left so I can put that energy. Oh, I'll just go, no. So
I think saying no is good. I think it's
cleaner and better.
Well, and you're educating,
trying to back out.
But you're helping people understand the lane that they need to be in.
Yes.
Like children. Children hate boundaries, except no, they don't.
Exactly. A 2-year-old actually doesn't want to rule the world.
Exactly. So those kind of boundaries are important. So anyway, that was just a little metaphysical sideline. If you're interested in astrology, you may very well already know about this controversy, but my God, it is intense. All right. Something else I wanted to talk about. And I could have slid it in before when we were talking about sort of the inequality of the health system. But,
Mhm.
you know, we're going to add this on. AOC. First of all, I'm a fan, so just saying.
Mm.
I think she's terrific. I'm from New York, so I love that she's doing so well by her constituency, but not just by her constituency, by the American public. So why am I talking about AOC? Because I don't know if you guys have seen this. On Instagram, she is chronicling her journey to freeze her eggs. And when I say chronicling, I mean she's showing us the lunchbox with the frozen thing in it, so that the meds are kept in. Then she takes the meds out and prepares the shot. Then she pulls up her shirt and, you know, sticks herself with the needle. Then she'll say, okay, this is my last big workout at the gym because, after this particular treatment, you can't work out because the eggs have to grow. I mean, so she's educating people on, first of all, what it is to freeze your eggs. Number two, she's 36. And, I had my daughter at 37, and I saw the chart and they said geriatric.
Right. The term in Australia is elderly prima vita. Elderly. I was 32. You know.
I mean, come on. I could see if I was doing it now, but what are you talking about? But anyway, so she's on the cusp, right? So she's freezing her eggs. But part of also what she's discussing is the fact that, she does not own a home. She is a member of Congress, but she had to save up for this procedure, which may work, may not work, because, once they, you want to unfreeze the eggs and do what, fertilize them, it can take, or maybe it won't take. So you're investing in something that's not a sure bet. And she talked about the fact that how costly it is. And
massively expensive.
Yes. And beyond that, she's demonstrating that you can be a woman who is a force for good in the world in a big way, and also want to have a family, children, whatever. I mean, this is not something that is, I don't think, widely talked about. So I think the fact that she's chronicling it is fascinating, because at the same time, she is thinking about what her next political moves are. My personal hope is that she goes to unseat Chuck Schumer, who should have been gone. But there's also talk of her for a presidential run in 28. Maybe a little early for that, but maybe not, because she's a progressive and progressives are on the rise.
On the rise. But just doubling back to her situation for a minute, because it's becoming very widespread now in my family community. So women are getting to their mid-30s, late 30s, and the conversation now is, I'm going to freeze my eggs. Mm-hmm. So something that was a tiny percentage of the population historically, it's now crossing over into mainstream in that sense. And we know statistically women are having children later, and also not having children at all,
Right.
That number is rising massively. Where I do have two concerns that then we can move on, because I've actually got 87 concerns. But one is the price. So in Australia, in Australia, it's nowhere near as expensive as the US, because nothing is. And if you were, say, a cancer patient and you were advised to freeze your eggs before you had chemo, that would be free. You would only pay maybe $70 a year for storage or something like that.
I bet it's not free here.
No. See, but if you're a healthy young woman and want to have it done, it does cost thousands,
Yeah.
So one thing is that. The other thing, which I think is broader, is, this is more a conversation for over cocktails probably than YouTube, but sometimes You can think too much, too long, and too hard about whether to have children
And then
and
it's
when.
too late.
And then it can be too late until there's technology, but also in terms of ourselves. So it went from 2 generations, it changed in our generation, right? So the
Mhm.
generation before us didn't have access to
No,
contraception.
right.
We came of age and it did, and women went instantly from having 16 kids to 1 or 2
Right. Right.
with contraception.
Right.
Right, but now there's this next generation that has some degree of choice. The problem is this, too much thinking, I think, can be problematic, and too much focus then on the child, that so much work and effort and thinking and rationalizing has gone into it that can lead to over-parenting.
Right. So
So I'm
now
just
they're this
throwing
work
that
of
to the
art that
audience.
you have to mold in
Yes,
a certain way.
curated being.
Yes. Yes.
So
Curated being. I
you're
like
less
that.
likely to just growl at the perfect one and go, pick up your socks now,
Right.
like just.
Right.
But I don't want that to be full discussion today. I just want to see if anyone in our audience is interested in having that conversation sometime about modern parenting.
Modern parenting, yes. Well, speaking of modern before we leave the subject of fertility, so I was talking to my daughter and I said, because we had been estranged for maybe 4 years. I hadn't seen her for 4 years.
Mhm.
And but now everything's fine. She had to go whatever, do whatever she did. Anyway, if you're interested, on my YouTube at Thanksgiving, I had her on, and we talked about this phenomenon of parental estrangement and
Yes.
going no contact and all of that. And it's a very good episode. And I was
I'll track it down.
yeah, I was really glad that she agreed to come on, and we're good. We're good now. But so I said, she was saying, talking about gender reveal, and I said, well, in my day, meaning when I was pregnant with her, because I was had a geriatric pregnancy,
I know.
they wanted to test for genetic
Down syndrome. And
so I said to myself, if they have to plunge a needle into my stomach to find out whether there's an abnormality, I guess my one consolation is I'm gonna find out the gender. They'll be able to. So she looked at me. She goes, "What?" I said, "Yeah. How did you? What
we
happened?"
didn't know.
She said, "No." She said, "Mom, it's a blood test now." I'm like, "What?"
I like that.
Jabbed in
The amniotic needle. It was this
yes,
long.
yes. But you know what? I said to myself, well, you know what? All right, she's going to be 33 in a couple of weeks. I mean, medical science should have advanced in 33 years, right? So, okay, I'm happy that they only have to deal with the blood test thing. But yeah, I mean, I think that you're right. I think that all of this fertility conversation would lead to an interesting conversation about parenting. You've got Erica Kirk. Because let me tell you something, I'm like a dog with a bone on that one. I will not let that go. It's not what you think. But anyway, she's running around telling people, have more children than you can afford. What?
How dare she?
How dare she?
How dare she?
I mean,
And it doesn't come from a position of compassion. Like,
no.
you might not think you could afford another child, but each child brings its own energy and love. And she could have done, no, just have more, because that's the Christian white nationalist agenda.
That's right.
And
That's
you're
it.
a baby factory.
Exactly.
Don't come back to me till you've got 5 kids.
Exactly. But by the way, that whole thing, that's another soap opera. I mean,
Yeah.
it is so not what you think it is. And who killed Charlie? I think she's going to go down in a big way. I mean, maybe even to jail down.
Oh, really? Oh, that'd be worth the wait. Yes.
Yeah. My partner said,
So you think fraud? You're thinking financial?
No. Oh, no.
Oh.
Oh, no. I think it has to do with politics, and I think it has to do with foreign governments. And I think one of the governments has a blue and white flag, and I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna leave it at that because I don't want to get dinged. Yeah, somebody asked Charlie something about his social media, and he said he wanted to put something on his, I think it was Twitter account, and it had to go through a committee. In other words, he, towards the end, was a commodity, and he was not free. Well, I mean, I think he was an awful person, but he was also not free. He was commodified, and I think that when he started to talk against certain things that the blue and white flag country was doing, they had to help him off shuffle off the mortal coil.
And she may have known.
I think so. I think it's way more complicated and involved than we realize. Speaking of which, complicated, she worked for Jeffrey Epstein. Shouldn't say his name either, but the guy, she worked for him.
I'd forgotten that.
Mm-hmm.
I'd forgotten that. It all dovetails.
And now there's documents that say that so much for the felon saying that, I cut him off because he was no, he was there as recently as 2016 at Mar-a-Lago.
Yes.
Mr.
And we all know they only had a falling out over real estate deals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And meanwhile, the trafficking of young things just went on business as usual.
I'm telling you what, this is not going to die. You all may hear that it feels like it falls off the center stage, but it's not going to die because there is so much that is intertwined where it is at the core of things. So, and I love that the Democrats have said that when we take the House and the Senate, there are going to be all kinds of serious investigations, and I hope so. And I hope there's a lot of progressives on those committees, although I know that the progressives are more interested in things like, food, shelter, water, all of those things that we need to, be able to live. But I think a hard reckoning is coming for the felon and his people.
Yes.
Sooner rather than later.
We've only got a few minutes left.
Mm-hmm.
I'd just like to spend a moment. There's talk about serving members, particularly in the Navy, who aren't getting adequate food and rest, and there's some talk of sailors jumping overboard. I don't know that that's actually been confirmed, but what I have seen is there's been some members literally preventing other members from doing that. And so I just want to put out my heartfelt thanks. They thought they were on a short assignment. They've been there months and months.
Yes, it's indefinite. See, apparently
it's indefinite.
Right. And I mean, when my partner was telling me, one of them was saying he had a tortilla and a piece of bread. That was his meal. These are people that have heavy duty jobs that require physical, strength, mental prowess, and they're being abused. Toilets that are overflowing and don't work. Personal supplies that are not available. And what's worse is that the response of the military high ups is, suck it up. We don't want to hear it. What?
That's actually my point.
Yeah.
There's the failure of logistics. I mean, that's why logistics might not be the sexiest arm of the armed services, but it's what matters,
That's right.
Getting things where they're meant to be.
That's right.
And there's 5,000 young things. I remember many years ago, a US admiral when they first started these monster ships, and he said, he was probably in his 50s, Now, if you can imagine, when this boat takes off, I'm on board with 5,000 teenagers and young adults in the center. So it's the equivalent of a small town.
Yes.
And we know how young people can eat. But also, more importantly, if you're in very limited physical environments, breaking up the day is very important, and therefore food performs all this other function, not just shoving something in your mouth.
That's right.
It's something you should be looking forward to, and a break, and
Hegseth is in charge. He doesn't know what he's doing.
And it shows he should be on naval rations until the war ends.
Yeah.
Okay, that would be my suggestion.
Yeah.
Let's see, it wouldn't last a week more.
Well, it's a shame. These are people who volunteer to serve in the military. I'm sure many people have different reasons for doing that, but this is a volunteer military, and they're being used and abused in the worst ways, and it's unconscionable.
It's terrible for the families to be worrying about this on top of other risks.
Right.
I really feel for the families.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought that up, because it is just, it's horrifying.
And it's indefensible.
No, it's indefensible.
This was talked about 2 months ago, 3 months ago as temporary thing. It has not been sorted out.
No.
There's no sign of it being sorted out.
They don't know how to sort anything out.
No, they can't fix a mossy pool. They can't do the most basic functions.
And now, guess what's on the rise in Florida? Leprosy.
No.
Leprosy, which has been around for 4,000 years, certainly was eradicated in the West anyway, and now it's in Florida, with the cases growing and growing and growing.
And this is the thing, and the vaccination schedule is being tampered with, and so these shocking figures are only going to get worse.
Right.
So in white Australia, leprosy was wiped out as being a British colony. So the only cases of leprosy were in remote Aboriginal communities with no doctors and no vaccinations and something. And it's a terrible, terrible illness. You know.
Well, yeah.
But TB's back, measles, chicken pox.
And look who we've got as head of the helping whatever his job is.
And he is
Kennedy.
He should actually be scheduled, as we would call it in Australia, involuntary admission. He's really out there.
Funny you brought that up. When he was being in the middle of a divorce, he told the court that he could not pay alimony because he had brain damage and couldn't work. Oh, but now he gets to be Secretary of Health?
In charge of the health of 360 million people. You know, it's a bad joke. These appointments, it's like putting the professional wrestler in charge of education.
Yes.
These are not just weak appointments.
No.
These are not just ideological appointments.
No.
These are people who cannot lie straight in bed.
No. Well, you know what? Pluto in Aquarius, it doesn't have to work. And it'll get worse before it gets better, but it's going to get better.
Yes. But it can't be patched up from now.
Oh.
It has to disintegrate and then the rebuild.
That's right. But we're here for all of it, you all.
I mean, you never know. America could end up as a socialist country in a few years' time in a way that was inconceivable.
I would not be mad. I would not be mad about that.
No, the DSA.
There's a lot of young people who say, "What's the problem?" Like,
yes.
Sounds good. Healthcare, food, basic guaranteed income. Sounds good.
Yep.
I don't know. Well, you all, thank you so much for being here with us. I'm happy to be back with you all and with Lena. And we are here for the duration every Wednesday. You can watch the replay. So hi, everybody watching this in replay. You can watch on replay on either of our channels, because it'll be both places. And we will see you on our own channels as well as here next week, right?
See you then, guys.
All right. Take care, everybody.